Hello and welcome back to Building a Nation here on Football Manager 2023. We are in Iceland with UMF Selfoss and we are at the end of Season 4 with this save, and we have won 2 trophies as you can see. We'll talk about what those trophies were, how we got on in our ridiculous Europa Conference League group with the stupid 400 teams in it, and talk about the transfers and all of that good stuff about the previous year. Hopefully you've been enjoying the save up until this point, and if you have, please make sure to drop a like on this video and do hit that subscribe button as well. But let's get right into it with the transfers. So it was a fairly quiet season in terms of transfers this season in comparison to last year, and we actually spent a bit more money as well, closing in on the £100,000 mark in total. So if we talk about guys who didn't do much this season, it would start with Ivar Pálsson, who is an 18-year-old goalkeeper from KA who has been our backup for the whole year pretty much. I think he's quite good. He might actually become our starter over the next year or two. It depends on how we get development on him and everything else going forward. Other players who contributed this year, we had Stefan Thorjonsson from FH. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm pretty sure the P with the little up bit on the P that looks like a B is Th. So I think it's Stefan Thorjonsson, which helps with my list at the moment. Anyway, £48,000 from FH, 33 appearances, 8 assists, 1 goal for the left winger. He's taken over the starting position of the team, to be honest, and I think he's actually a pretty good player, all things considered. Decent crossing, which hopefully will improve going forward, but the physicals are really impressive and the mentals, they're not great, but he's a winger. Harry Gordon, who we talked about in the previous episode, has joined from Hearts. He has had a pretty solid season without being amazing. I feel like he should be a bit better than he's been, but he's contributed enough. He's been a bit in and out of the team throughout the year. He was kicking up a bit of a fuss about that, but we've started playing him more recently and he's actually been performing quite well. Sigurður Bjartar Halsen came in from KR. He played mostly off the bench as a pretty much anywhere option. He can play central midfield, up front, on the wings, depending on where we need him on any given day. Just an all-round average player. I mean, he's a fringe player who could potentially improve. That's pretty much his limit. He's very much a rental for a couple years. We also brought in Aron Thordor Albertson, also from KR, who played pretty much every game this season. Again, one of those can play kind of everywhere players. We had one of them in Alstman who has left, but decent pace and acceleration. The mentals are pretty good across the board, and the technicals are solid for most aspects of his game. He's only 5'6", so he's not really a centre back, but he can play fullback, he can play right wing, he can play midfield, he can kind of do it all. And the last player we brought in was Christopher Steinset from Floro for £5.75,000. The Norwegian, who I think he's pretty good for a 19-year-old for £5,000. He is great across the physicals, the mentals are really strong, the technicals are actually pretty good as well. He is a wing back or a central midfielder. We typically play him in central midfield, but he can pop in at right back if we really needed him to as well. He's just an all-round good player, plenty of room to improve. I think that's a bargain signing for us this year. On the outs, nobody really of note. Halldórsson left because he's already been released as well. Ronald Padilla left because I didn't think he was worth really renewing for a new deal, and that's kind of it really. We didn't really lose a whole lot in the way of great players. Nobody had an amazing season. Aldenson had a decent year, but he was never going to play for us. And if you look at the season results, we have won the league for the 3rd year in a row. It's pretty much expected at this point. We had a bit of a rough start again, but we did put together a cracking run here from early July until the final game of the season. We lost that game, but we had already wrapped up the league. 22 goal difference as well. Gudmundur Tyrfingsson, 24 goals this season in 22 league games. He is still ridiculous. We'll talk about him obviously as we go forward, but another league title, it's a more convincing league title as well. In the Icelandic League Cup, we did get all the way to the final this year, but then we did fall to Breiðablik on penalties. It wasn't, I don't really care about winning this cup per se, but I'd like to win it at some point. We got to the semi-finals last year, the final this year. Hopefully this next season is the year we can win it. We did, however, win the Icelandic Champions Cup. We beat Stjarnan 1-0 in that game. Again, I don't really care about winning this, but we'll take a trophy if we take a trophy. And our Icelandic Cup defence was pretty shocking, to be honest. We smashed KR 4-0 and then got easily beaten by Stjarnan 3-0 in the 4th round of the competition. Not great at all. Champions League was a bit of a mixed bag, to be honest. We got past Flora Tallinn quite comfortably, and then a 2-2 home draw to Lech Poznan had me feeling confident, but I knew we had to go all the way to Poland, and we did lose 1-0 in Poland to knock us out of the Champions League in the 2nd qualifying round, which is not great, but again, this is the long-term aspect of this save, is to get better in the Champions League. We did, however, have a bit of good success in the Europa League. We once again got drawn against bloody Ferencváros, who I'm sick to death of at this point. If we do a Building a Nation save in Football Manager 24, I think it's going to be with Ferencváros, just so I don't have to play them, because they're annoying me. But we did get past them them quite easily, 4-0 on aggregate, and then we did beat HJK 2-0. We had quite a lucky draw, I feel like, with HJK playing the Finnish side in the final playoff round before qualifying for the, 36 team group stage stupid crap. And we've played so far Apollon Limassol, a 1-1 draw away. We did get beat again by Lech Poznan 2-0, a 2-0 loss to Rangers, and then a miracle 0-0 draw against Newcastle. They had 31 shots to our 2, but we held on to get a point against the favourites for the competition. They did win the Conference League last year as well. We are on 2 points after 4 games. It's not great, I have to say. We've got some tough games coming up as well. The finances. We're still a 2-star reputation team, but all the money is going up. 3.9, just under 4 million in competition prize money. The matchday commercial and retail has gone up quite a bit as well. Sponsorship has gone up by 21 grand too. 634 shirts have been sold as well, which, getting to that 1,000 mark. So if we have a quick look at the supporter profile update, we have gained just under 2,000 followers on social media. 694 supporters have season tickets, and the core and family dropped this time, but the fair weather fans are turning up 14%, and the casuals are coming as well. The problem with winning is you get the fair weather and the casual fans. The hardcore fans only at 11%. We don't have a great hardcore support. It's something I hope we can change going forward. But if we start at the dev center for a change, because we actually had a good intake for the first time in about 20 years in this game, and as you can see, 4 players who've actually got quite a lot of good potential will come to Jonsson last. So Gunnar Mar Stefansson, a left midfielder, could actually be pretty good, to be honest. A 1.5-star current ability player, 4.5-star potential ability, and he's pretty good. Mercenary personality is not great, but good enough. Johan Orvarsson as well, a similar rated player, a central midfielder or defensive mid player, which I think is actually his position. He could play centre back, but I feel like he's probably better here, and we do actually play with a defensive midfielder. Could improve unambitious personality though, which is a shame, because I think he's got a lot of good attributes already. The boy with the mohawk, Olafur Inge Sugur Jonsson, a fullback, a right back ideally, unambitious personality again. Hopefully the coaching can change this, but the physicals need a bit of work. The mentals are pretty strong, and the technicals are actually okay. If you get fullback support, it kind of just needs to get the physicals and his crossing up, and he could be a pretty decent right back for us going forward. But the main man from this group is Birkir Thor Jonsson, a central midfielder who at 16 is already close to being a first team sort of player, and you can see it here. The technicals could a bit of work, but I mean, the 8 being the lowest for his sort of key attributes for a Mizala. We play a central midfielder on support for reference, and he's already decent enough. Unambitious again, but we'll hopefully sort that out. He's pretty good, I have to say. I like a lot of this already. Could be a good player, especially with the news that we are finally turning bloody professional soon. It should be in the next few days on the game. We are currently semi-professional, but we are going towards professional at long last, so we can actually do full-time training on these players and get their attributes up, which is nice. One thing I did notice, by the way, on the club vision screen, I don't know if anybody else has done this or not, but I was looking for the updates on how your requests are going. If you go to the board, it actually gives you this nice screen. So you can see I've had 61.1% of my requests approved, 38.9% rejected, but we can see how everything's going on as well. So if we look at our ongoing ones, improve the training facilities and build a new stadium are on the list. Where is the professional status? Apparently it was completed 2 days ago. We'll have a look at that off screen, but we should have turned professional already. I don't know why we haven't. Unless that's just I don't know. But we're turning professional at some point. Hopefully this isn't a bug and we're actually going to turn professional going forward. And if we keep a look at the club info as well, we're still only a favoured personnel at this moment in time, but I mean, surely we should be coming up to an icon soon. This team's won 3 Icelandic Premier Divisions and we won all 3 of them. If we look at the Europa Conference League group from last year, we finished 34th out of 36. Not the best, it has to be said. At least we didn't go pointless. I say winless. We did go winless, but we, it's about to be expected. We got beat by Fiorentina, Dynamo Bucharest, I believe. No, Dynamo Butami. Yep, them over there. And Rapid Vienna were the teams that beat us. And we've still got to play in this coming season Europa League, Standard Liège, Aris, Dinamo and Ludogorets. I mean, that's 4 pretty rough games for a team our size. So we're probably not going to pick up much more points. I would be surprised if we did. There are no current transfers coming in, but we've got money to spend. Once again, I'll be filtering this to make it more friendly for what we can actually do, because we're not going to spend £2 million on players this season. But if we look at stats, if we look at the goals again, it's Gudmundur Terfingsson who has been the main man once again. His stats are still not great. I don't quite understand how he's managing to do this, but 24 goals in the league this year. He's 62 and 84 in us for the league as well. He's pretty much a beast. He's 22. He's under contract contract for another 12 months. I don't quite understand how he's doing it, but he is. Hardarson as well also had a pretty good season with 7 goals, 6 in the league in 11 games. He stepped up when he was needed. And on average ratings as well, it was a lot of the same players. Ruan had another good season as well. Dikev is improving and had a good season. I'm quite happy with how he's developing at this moment in time. Pettersson as well signed a new contract, so we actually managed to keep him at the club for another year. Again, a lot of these attributes are pointing down, but we're hoping that they'll go up going forward. Grettersson, good season, only conceded 31 goals in total. This might be his last year as the starting goalkeeper. It might even be that previous year might have been his last year as starting goalkeeper, depending on how he gets on. And we've got all of our youth players, because I know how to send players to the under 19s now. They have to go out on loan to the under 19s because the board won't let us have an under 19 team at this moment in time, which is very annoying. And I'm going to try and ask for a coaching course again because I'm getting fed up of them saying no on that front. The tactics have had a slight change again. The main thing being that we're just keeping the ball a lot more. So we're playing out of defence, we're lowered the tempo, the passing's much shorter, we're distributing to the fullbacks and the centre backs, and we're trying to stop crosses as well. Otherwise, it's pretty much the same thing. I will adjust in game as we go, depending on what the status of the game is, how we're playing, what we need to do in the game as well. The finances are very healthy, 2 million in the bank. We're going to go down again, but every year in Iceland the money just whittles down to nothing, so you've kind of got to get into some kind of Europe, make your money, and then do all your board requests as well. Staff wise, we're still building towards having the best staff in Iceland. We've got the best recruitment staff in Iceland, and we've got some of the best medical staff in Iceland, but the coaching staff leaves a lot to be desired, I have to say. We've got 2 spaces to fill. We might actually sack some guys and bring some new staff in as well. If we look at the Icelandic Premier Division's status, so our exploits last year got the league up to 84th, so it went up 2 spaces in the previous season. I think we should hopefully go up another couple spaces in the next year with our Europa League group stage campaign. It's better than the Europa Conference League. We won the game in the Champions League, so that would hopefully mean that we are ready to go into the late 70s, I would hope, at this point. And if you look at this is ridiculous. 24 goals for Turfingsson. Next was 9. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I'm not going to go through the other Icelandic teams at European form at the moment. That is very much, I will do that in about 10 seasons in or so. It's pretty boring. If you look at KR, for example, how have they got on in Europe the last couple years? If we just get rid of all of this, they didn't even play, first knockout round, second qualifying round. They're not doing any business at the moment in Europe. So we will wait and show you that when we get to that point later on down the road. But that's kind of it really for this episode so far. The seasons are going smoothly. We're winning the league. We are starting to become a dominant force in Iceland. We just need to become a bit more consistent. We're getting to the group stages in Europe, which is a positive already, but we're not picking up any wins in the group stages in Europe. We've picked up no wins, 4 draws and a bunch of defeats at this moment in time. So hopefully that's something that we can improve on. So I've just skipped forward a bit to check out the curiosity, and as you can see, with the club playing in the Icelandic Premier Division, we've won it 3 years in a row. We've been in the league for 3 years, guys. The board have decided to make the step up and turn the club fully professional. So we're going to have to spend a lot of time giving all of these guys new contracts. The days of the £5 contract are unfortunately over for the part-timers. We're going to have to start being a bit more creative with our wage balancing going forward. They also say we'll give us more staff as well. Finally, we can hire some staff. Oh, it's about time. It's about time. Now, I'm going to skip ahead again because I've requested that coaching course. Will they let us do it? This was to available budget for scouts, which, okay, sure, have that. And would you believe it? Miracles do in fact happen. We are on a National B coaching license. We're finally on a second coaching course. It's £600 this has cost, and the board keeps saying no. A lot of times they keep saying, oh, you can't do it because, you're going to leave if you get a contract. Guys, I'm here for the long haul. I just want to get my numbers up because they're absolutely pathetic at the moment. If you look at our stats as well, we can see we've brought in 29 players, we've sold 19, we've spent £150,000 in total, 3 cups, 3 leagues, 1 league promotion, a 55% win ratio as it stands. I'm happy with it so far. We are the 8th best manager in Icelandic history as well, and hopefully that will continue to improve as we go forward. But that's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end if you have. Thanks for dropping a like if you have as well, and thank you to everybody who's staying subscribed for this series. Hopefully you're enjoying it. I'm loving it so far, despite the risk of doing a save like this on the beta, and obviously by the time you see this, the beta will be long gone, but we've talked about this before. I'm batch making them all in advance, so I am weeks ahead of where I need to be. But that's going to do it for the episode. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next Friday for the next episode of Building a Nation in Iceland. Thanks very much for watching. Goodbye.